Today's Photoshop lesson was inspired by a friend of mine when he asked me if Photoshop could render a time-lapse he made with 265 JPEG images from his GoPro. He made the time-lapse at a photo class we were attending. I said yes, Photoshop could do it, but then I had to go out and figure out how to do it. I was so surprised when I found out how easy it is to make a video of 265 images taken 5 seconds apart using Photoshop. So let's get started in Photoshop and I will show you how easy it is to make a time-lapse video. Here we are in Photoshop, but actually before we go to Photoshop I want to go to Bridge and show you what we're going to do. In Bridge, what I did was set up a folder called Time-Lapse Files right here, and then I made a subfolder called Edited and then Rendered. Now I'll show you how that works. Now here's the 265 images that's going to make the time-lapse. Okay, these were all taken about 5 seconds apart. Now when I look at these images, they just look a little dark to me. So what I want to do is lighten up all these images. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but it's really not. What I'll do is go ahead and select them all. I'm going to just hit Control or Command A. Now I don't need this or that, so now I just have the images selected. If we look down here, it says 265 selected. Okay, and then I'll right click and I'll open in Camera Raw. So now it's opening up 265 images in the Camera Raw, which is no problem. Now what I think about the image is I think it's a little dark. I think we could lighten it up and maybe see a little more of these shadows. So what I'm going to do is click on the auto button and see what that does. So I think that helped it a little bit. That's nice. I think I'm going to get my J tool. It's also called a radio filter. I'm going to get that, and what I want to do is maybe add about a +50 over here. It looks kind of dark. I don't need to lighten this part up. Maybe pull that down a little bit and maybe open up the shadow. So I'm going to drag this to the right. So you could make it a little brighter in there. Okay. I'm going to hit New. And I'm going to make a new one and cover this area over here because it's kind of bright. And I'm going to dim that down. So the exposure is on +50. Let's reduce that to like a -50. And also to the shadows. We'll just put that in the middle, and I think I'm going to temperature cool it down a little bit. Yeah, about like that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You know, I think the whole photo could use a little color balance. I hit the letter Z. That brings us back to the basic panel. I'll click on the first one, and I think I'm just going to warm this up with a little yellow. Let me check this table. 168, and it's still pretty blue. Okay. That's probably enough warmth. Maybe just a little red too. Anyway, you tweak the photo to any way you think looks good. And we'll get the rest of these in just a second. One more thing. This is going to be a video. It's going to be an HD video. So it's going to be 1920 by 1080 pixels, which means it's going to have to be cropped. Because this is not that size. This is 6000 by 4000 pixels. So I'm going to hit the C for crop. I'll right click and I need a 9:16 ratio. That is the ratio that fits that dimension I gave you, 1920 by 1080. So I got the whole, I'll do the whole width, but the height, I don't need all this ceiling. So I'm going to pull this down maybe about like that, and I'll just hit enter. So now it's cropped to fit the normal high definition screen. Okay, we have adjusted the photo, we've cropped it, we've changed the lighting, made it just the way we want it. Now what we want to do is select all the photos. So if I go up here, see this little double line thing? It's kind of hard to see, very small, and one of the choices is select all. Now all the photos are selected. The next thing I want to do, I'll click there again, and this time I'm going to click on Sync Settings. Shortcut key Alt S or Option S. Now it's asking me, you clicked on the first one up here and now you want all the other ones to be the same. Now which one of these things do you want me to match up? You don't have to do them all, but they're all checked right now. I want to do everything, plus I want to crop it, so I'm going to check that. We didn't do any spot removal, but we did some local adjustment. That was with the radio tool, so I'll click on that. So now I'll say OK. So what is going to happen is all the images, all the 264 other images are now all going to be adjusted with the same settings, so they all be the same brightness. Now what I want to do also is I want to kind of scroll down. If you look, you'll see the crop and this little symbol here, meaning that that photo has been done. So our images are all fixed up. Now let's save them. Okay, now I usually just click down here where it says Save Images. So I click right there. Comes up with a dialog box. Now, save in new location. Yes, remember I made another folder called Edited, so that's where I want to put it. Time-lapse files edited. These are the ones that we brightened up and cropped. File name, I'm going to name it Time-Lapse. Now, so I put the word Time-Lapse in the first box, but I want to add a 6-digit serial number so Photoshop can get these in the proper order. Now, beginning number, let's start with 1. Okay, so the first number is going to be 1, and here's a sample, Time-Lapse 001. That'll help Photoshop get these in the right order. Format JPEG, that's fine. Metadata, now most people just leave this on all, but we don't need all that extra metadata in there. Let's just put the copyright in. That'll make the file a little smaller, maybe shrink it down a little bit for us. Quality is 12, that's as high as we can go, so we'll leave it on 12. Color space, sRGB is good, 8-bit's good. Now, here's what we're going to do too. Remember we cropped it to a 9:16, but that didn't change the pixels. So if we resize this photo to 1920 by 1080, that's the same proportion, but it will remove the extra pixels so that each photo will be the proper side. If you were going 4K or something, then these would be different numbers, but we're just going normal HD. So all we have to do now is click on Save. Okay, so each one of these 265 photos are now being saved, which after they've been brightened and after they've been cropped. Now to see how we're doing, we can look down here and you can see there's 249, 48, 47 to go. So this is going to take a few minutes for Photoshop to go to each and every photo and adjust them the same. And the reason why we could adjust them as the same is because the lighting was pretty much the same through all the photos. Pause this for now. Okay, it's all done. By the way, it took about a little less than 1 second per image, so it was knocking up more than 1 a second. Okay, we're done with these. All 97 images have been saved, so we're done here in Adobe Camera Raw. So I'll click Done. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop. So here's Photoshop. All we have to do now is bring in the images. So let's go to File, Open. We got to go to where the images are located. So I'll click here, and it's in the time-lapse files. Now those are original files. Now we don't see any files because Photoshop is looking for 3D Studio. So I'm not sure why, but anyway, let's click here and change that to all formats. So now any file that it sees. Okay, that's our time-lapse. Those are the originals, but remember we edited them, we brightened them up. So I'll click there, all the edited ones that are a little brighter. We want all these files, but don't worry, we don't have to click on them all. See, this is blank down here. We have to put something there. So just click on the first one. Click. Okay, only one's been selected. Now here's the big secret. Right here. See where it says image sequence? That's the secret. Make sure you click on image sequence. If you don't do that, the whole thing will not work. Okay, and then we'll click Open. When we clicked on the sequence, Photoshop knew it was going to be a video, and it would even put up the timeline if it wasn't already up. The frame rate, we can go 25 or 30. Let's go with 25. Photoshop gives you lots of choices in here. We'll go with 25. I'll say OK. Now Photoshop is going to go take those 265 images and make a video out of it, and guess what? It's done. That's how easy it was. Now, it would have went quicker if we didn't brighten all the images and crop them. So if you already had them ready to go, you would have saved a little bit of work. But in this case, we are ready to go, and there's our video. If I actually play it, you can see it's not going to run at full speed because it will have to be rendered to do that. But it's playing. You can see it's going through playing the images. Let me stop them. While we're here in Photoshop, let's edit it up a little bit. Let's go to here to, remember this, I did this on my last video. We could fade. Let's fade with black. We'll put that at the beginning. So I'll just click there. There's a fade with black at the beginning, and we'll fade with black at the end. So that's about, if I click on that and drag it, you can actually see it's about 1 second. That's about right. Okay, so now we got some fades on the end. And there's one more thing. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to show you how we cut this. I'm going to drag the playhead over here, and there's some fire comes in at the end of this. Let's see if we can find the fire. There it is. See that fire right in there? I thought I'd slow it down a little bit for the fire. So let me show you how we do that. Let's take the last couple seconds, starting right there. We'll take the last couple seconds and we'll slow it down. To do that, what we have to do is we have to cut it. So I clicked on the blue line, the video, that highlighted it, and then that made the scissors available. So I click on the scissors, and look, we have a cut right here. Now it's the same video, but it's in 2 pieces. Now if we want to, we can go over here. I'll right click on this, and it says the duration is 2 seconds, but the speed is 100. So what if I click and I drag the speed down? I'm just going to pick a number like 50, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll say OK. Now it's going to run at half the speed to make this little end run at a different speed than the beginning. OK. And what else do we need? Oh, music. What good's a video without music? So remember how we did that? We're going to click right on this arrow next to the music thing. Audio track. Add audio. Okay, now we're going to go find some music. We'll click on music. We'll use one of these from the, we'll use that song right there. Okay, so I added some music. Now, oh look, the music is a lot longer. I'm going to move this little thing down here. That's going to make the whole track smaller. And I'm going to drag this music and put it at the end. There we go. And then I can click on the mountain and make it bigger again. I can see what's going on. So what have we done? Let's see. We've added some music. It needs to be a little smaller. So we faded that both ends. Oh, what the heck. We might as well fade out the music a little bit too, maybe about a second or so. And we might as well fade in the music. I don't know about the volume. We'll have to test it for that. We'll say OK. So there's our whole video ready to go. Now we just have to render it. And remember, when we render it, it's this little arrow right here. We try to do all our work in here if we can. And the name is Untitled Video. So let's change that to Time-Lapse. Time-Lapse, we'll call it 1. And then select folder. Remember, we made a special folder. We're going to put it in Time-Lapse. I'm going to put it in rendered so I know right where it's at. Okay. And then all this part, see, it picked the document size. That's the correct size, 25 frames. It's all good. So all we have to do now is click on the render button, or click on render. Okay. Now it's going to render the video. This will give us an idea how long it's going to take. What is it, about 10 seconds, 11 seconds this video is. So exporting the video. And then we'll see how it comes out. A couple of minutes is all it took. Okay, now we'll flip over where we can watch the video. Remember, we had it in a folder called rendered. So here's the video. I'll just double click on that. Well, that came out good. So the real trick on this was, remember, let me review it to make sure you get it. File, open, and don't forget about this image sequence box. You must check that box. That's the secret to making this video quick and easy. I'll cancel this for now. So that's it. You can make a time lapse in Photoshop, and it won't take very long. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching.